Hello, Barbro.
Hello, Uli.
Welcome in the dark.
Yeah?
I can see from your background that it's dark.
Yeah. Well, it's dark in the afternoon in Sweden this time of the
Yes.
year.
And obviously, I know that it's dark because we are in the same time zone.
Yeah.
We are in the same city. We are in the same neighborhood, and we're sitting in the same room.
Yes.
How are you doing? How have you been since we talked yesterday?
I'm fine. Yes. It was interesting. 2 hours talk. We just plunged in yesterday.
Exactly. I thought so too. It was 2 hours and it felt like 20 minutes.
Yes, yes. So we really met in some, how do you say, some crucial parts and how to look upon life and the world. And that's interesting to me, that we explore each other, so to say, with curiosity.
Yeah, exactly. You were saying curiosity because I just showed you a video.
Yeah.
I created a short out of our last podcast.
Yeah.
Where you mentioned curiosity. There were so many topics yesterday that I found very interesting when we talked. And I think next time when we have longer conversations that we don't record, I need to take notes because I forget so many things. But there was one thing I didn't forget, and I actually created a short on my morning walk this morning myself.
You did? Okay. Yeah.
And I found it very interesting how you defined good and evil. We were talking about good and evil, and you said, if I remember right, that evil is based on fear, and it's the fear and the darkness to which no light has been shed on. And good is the absence of fear, and it's the light, and it's what is coming from the heart.
Yeah.
That's how I understood and memorized what you said, and I found it so interesting. I created a short this morning.
Okay, I haven't seen that yet.
No.
So, and also that this heart is based on trust. So, because there is no fear, you have trust, and that opens your heart. So that's the opposite. I think it's about fear and trust, or fear and love.
So if in a relationship, no matter with whom, there is... So if there is no trust, if there's distrust or no trust yet, does it mean there's fear?
Yeah, I believe so.
Because there's fear that the other person would maybe compromise something or talk bad.
I think we all have fears with us from previously, like experiences we have had. And that's, you don't have to have a very bad childhood for that. It's natural that, I mean, we don't live on an island where bananas striped. Life makes for everyone that we have some experiences that are fearful. And that's part of life, I think. And that's also why we are dualistic. So, but I think that is because we need to learn. We need to learn what love is and what love is not. And we do it by experience. So if we never experience fear, we don't understand what love is. It's like we need the opposite to understand. It's like light and dark.
Damn it. Why can it not be easier?
I think it's that is not difficult for me. It can be hard to live through, but it's part of life. Just imagine that you never have any difficult experience.
Yeah.
Just imagine. Sit on a cloud and just sing. It's nice for a while, but maybe you need some movement. You need something that change. Life is movement. Life doesn't stand still.
I remember in my first job after studying, there was this HR director presenting to me and to others new in the company. And it was about personnel development. And he said, it's about developing, it's about taking risks, it's about growing, because imagine a baby entering this world, and the baby never starts to crawl or try to crawl, the baby never starts to walk. Imagine how that person would look like as an adult, still lying around and crawling.
Yeah.
I never forgot that picture in my mind. That was in 1998.
Yeah.
That is basically what you're saying.
Yeah. So if we try to, most of us, we have a little fear of change because we're comfort zone. We have comfort zones where So when we grow, expand our awareness, consciousness, that is where we go a bit out of our comfort zone. Because if we try to keep it like that, life will go from us in a way. Because life moves all the time. It's like a river. I know a book from my early days. It's called Don't Push the River, It Flows by Itself. I think that's a very good title. Also when we try to control life. Also when we try to push, it needs to happen something from us. So we can also go the other direction, try to control life. But there is a life in itself.
And since you know that I recently came to the conclusion of my purpose of life, which is about living a life truly connected to nature, I think of that when you speak about the river and control, because I've been trying to control many things in my life. I think more than I should have.
Most of us have.
Yeah. And life is not about control. Life is about living with nature.
Yeah.
And letting nature do its thing. And when you speak about the river and control, I immediately think about mankind trying to actually control the river flow.
Exactly.
And creating floods.
Yes.
So when you speak like that, it's not about an individual. It's also about societies and politics suddenly, right?
Mankind,
exactly. The so intelligent, advanced, modern mankind.
And we also yesterday, when we talked, I remembered, as I am a bit older, I remember in the 60s how we were so in love with all this progress, technical progress, and progress in many, many fields. Like plastic, like, many things. And also medicine, all that. And we were impressed by the development. And then it came about with many, many things that was invented that we 20, 30, 40 years later experienced the backside of it. I had the image of a cat biting his tail.
Yes.
Goes round and round. And it's not easy to know, but I believe that because we are dualistic as human beings, we cannot create anything without also the backside of it. Because life is both.
Yeah. when you speak about the 60s and 70s, I get the impression that in those times, and also earlier, during and after the Industrial Revolution, there were good things coming out of it. And maybe, let me be positive and say that maybe at that time, the cat didn't yet know that it would bite itself into the tail.
Exactly.
So, but I say that with caution because already, in those times, it was about power and money.
But most people were not aware.
Yeah, I would probably agree. Now, in the year 2025, the situation, I believe, is completely different.
Yes.
So now we know, actually before creating something, we know exactly if the cat is going to catch the own tail or not. And if we do know, we still produce, we still scale for the sake of profit. That's at least my personal assumption, and power, and maybe other reasons, I don't know. But that is what I call evil. So coming back to that topic, if you do something to the profit of someone, which is at the same time to the detriment of somebody else, then that is evil. How does darkness and fear correspond to that situation, I wonder?
I still believe that fear is behind. Every fear is like most people are not, especially when it comes to these kind of very evil actions. We are not aware of that we have fear behind. So that's what I mean, that even if we hear about it with our ears, we are not aware in our hearts. We lock in, we close our hearts to that information. So again, I believe that the solution, we can talk and talk and talk, but if we have not opened our hearts, it doesn't make sense anyway.
I understand. Those people, those groups, those societies, they don't act from the heart.
No.
And the reason being they fear something.
There is a fear of opening the heart.
Yes, yeah.
And that usually is because you have been hurt in some way.
So we need a massive healing.
Yes.
And a mass healing.
I believe so, yes.
Or maybe only special groups need healing.
But we cannot oppose it to others.
That's right. How arrogant.
Only if you your own. You can. There is an old saying that you can lead the horse to the water, but you cannot drink. You cannot drink on behalf of the horse. And that we need to understand that we cannot do it for another. Everyone has its own right to do whatever. We can shelter ourselves, but we cannot go into another. I have, as being a therapist for my whole life almost, I have felt that powerless many times. That I have wished, but I have learned that I go back to myself. This is about me. It's about my pain when I feel powerless.
What do you mean you felt powerless in which situations? Towards your clients?
Yeah. When someone especially when someone locks their heart.
Yeah.
Maybe I sit with a couple, and one of the people are open in their heart, the other, for some reasons, lock their heart.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very painful to be just participant in that, to see that. But that is, we need to honor the decision of each person. And that's very hard sometimes, when you feel your own pain in that.
Mm-hmm.
So then you need to go into yourself again and again. And of course you are allowed to shelter yourself when you meet people with locked hearts, because that can really be violence and everything.
Yeah.
So it's not that easy.
Yeah.
But behind powerless, there is always pain. That's my experience.
Mm-hmm. Behind powerless.
Yeah. In Sweden, we have a word called vanmakt that is a little different to like not having power. It's really to, I have tried and tried and tried, and it's not working. Mm-hmm. That is the word I'm looking for. That you have really tried to contact, tried to contribute, and you don't get through.
Mm-hmm.
And that is vanmakt in Swedish.
Yeah.
And then the pain is behind. So I need to go to my own pain.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for the English word because I understand the Swedish word from trying to get the sense and understanding what the corresponding German word would be, which is machtlos. German machtlos.
Yeah, that's more linked to the Swedish.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I feel like I don't have the strength, I don't have the power, I don't have the capacity to overcome my fear.
Yeah.
Or to unlock my heart.
Or in front of someone who is closing. Also how to reach a person.
Yeah.
That has locked his or her heart.
Yeah. So I have been exploring the social media world more and more throughout the last weeks on different platforms, and consumed more content myself from other content creators.
Yeah.
And what I hear and listen a lot is that 2025 is the year, because I mentioned mass healing earlier. Mm-hmm. I'm now trying to get back to that topic. And I hear many people speak about some kind of spiritual
awakening.
Maybe awakening, yes. And I made a joke. I actually, I told you yesterday about this joke. When did you wake up? Oh, I didn't mean that kind of awakening. I did a short on that yesterday.
Yeah.
And I got a reaction by saying, the way I understood the comment was like, you are creating this kind of content and video, and you position yourself as a professional life coach. That doesn't fit. I thought that was a very interesting comment because to some extent I agree. Like, how can I be a life coach, coaching somebody, and at the same time, asking provocatively about when did you wake up? Or what I'm basically saying is, or are you still sleeping? This was provocative by design, basically.
Yeah.
But coming back to what I observe from other content creators, what is happening or what will happen is this spiritual awakening. Has something like this happened in the past already?
Well, I am not the one to know in a, really knowing. I have a sense, I have a intuition, and I'm not the only one. Many people have this intuition that we are living in a very special time right now for the world, for the mankind, and that it is a kind of development of mankind, like we develop as a mankind, and that this is happening on a scale that has never happened before.
Mm-hmm.
From now on and like 20 years ahead will be extremely intense in that. And what people say in that is that this is happening because more people are in the light, talking about light and dark.
Yes.
More people accept to receive light in themselves, daring to do that, because that is not självklart. That is not
obvious
that you always can do that, because you have your hindrance, all of us. But many have come to that point, and that is about how you look upon life. What is life about, actually? Is it only to you do your daily things, or is there more to it? And here heart comes in, the meaning of life. So I believe, I'm curious about these coming 20 years. I will be 80 next year. So if I stay in 20 years, I will be 100. But at least have some years of living through that, because I really believe that it is like this. If you look upon how we have developed, also in many ways, it gets faster and faster and faster. So I believe it's about energies.
Mm-hmm.
How we raise in frequency. And in that way we get new perspectives of life.
Mm-hmm.
And that is maybe what can enhance development.
Mm-hmm.
I think already now I'm on thin ice. I was looking for a name. That is my age. Sometimes they slip away. That's okay.
I find it very interesting what you said. You started this topic by saying you stop doing the same things every day over and over again.
Yeah, routines.
The routines. And I can totally relate to that, because I found myself in a situation where I was doing routines. And for many years in the past, I actually had this conscious thought of something is wrong in my life, because it's only about getting up, going to work, and finding some spare time for hobbies I like doing. And I had jobs that were very demanding in responsibility and in time. So I actually had years where I did nothing else than that. And as a young guy, I actually enjoyed it, because coming out of university, I wanted to work, I wanted to develop, I wanted to achieve, I wanted to learn. So I was happy doing that. I was happy working late. But that is not sustainable. So now I actually changed during the last weeks and months. I actually changed completely, which is basically part of my purpose of life, that I say, I do I do routines every day, in a cycle every day, but those routines are completely different. Those routines are making sure I get good quality sleep, getting movement out in the daylight every day, getting good social connections every day. I actively seek for those conversations, meaningful conversations every day. And I feed my body with the nutrition that it needs. So those are the 4 things I actually do every day, in a cycle, in a routine. And by doing it, it just feels so natural and it feels so good. And everything else in my life, I still continue doing. I still have a full-time job. I still have hobbies. I do them, but in a much more relaxed way and with a more inner calm. Because if I prioritize on the things that I need to prioritize, that I learned based on the purpose of life, then I suddenly feel inner calm and purpose.
Exactly. Because you have started with what you need.
Yeah.
To build the platform for living.
Yes.
Instead of, as many do, and I used to do when I was young, starting with the whole world around and then trying to fit in. Eventually, some needs of my own. So I understand fully what you are doing in that. And I made that kind of revolution in my younger days. And I was so scared. I understood that I was so afraid that life would be just the routines. That I wouldn't get to my own needs. I mean, that was my. You're doing this in a more peaceful way than I did.
Are you sure?
I don't know, but I don't know. No.
I mean, things came together during the last months for me, or the last year actually.
Yeah.
But I feel like it has built up over decades.
Yeah.
I wish I had seen things the way I see them now much, much earlier. But at the same time, I'm grateful to see them now.
Yeah.
And not in 20 or 30 years. I actually feel like I'm turning 50 soon. And in this moment, while I'm saying it, I again feel this inner calm.
Yeah.
Having this thigh, I think you say it in English.
What?
Thigh. I think it's
Thigh?
like...
sigh.
Sigh. Sigh or thigh?
Sigh.
Sigh.
Yeah.
Thank you. I have this, I do this sigh, and I have this inner calm feeling that I got it.
Yeah.
With the turn of, or just before of turning 50, now imagine how my next 50 years will be. So much more amazing, free. And it feels like whatever will happen, I almost don't care. Like coming back to the spiritual awakening, whatever that means, and how hard it might be, and how much damage has to happen before, how dark it has to get before it gets light. I almost don't care, because I feel that I'm unstoppable. I'm calm inside myself. I now know what makes me healthy and happy. And it's not what happens around me.
No. So when you speak, I look upon life like that. It has to come from inside out. We can look upon the world and think, if we only did that and that and that. No. It is about opening hearts. That's what I believe.
It's crazy. It's so simple.
Simple to say, and and Yeah. Opening hearts. It can be very scary for some people. When I was young, I did not even know what my needs were. I had to explore that first.
Exactly.
And that comes from saying no to things. Like the little child of 2 years need to say no before he can say yes. We are like that as grown-ups too, very much. I need to find my nose to say no to things.
Yeah.
Then after that I could finally, what do I want?
Yeah.
Mm.
A few days ago, I remembered that my son asked me a few months ago about the TikTok videos he saw and about people saying you have to love yourself.
Yeah.
On a side note, when he says something like that, based on content he saw from TikTok, I feel like there's great content he consumed on TikTok. If he comes up with that question, Dad, do I need to love myself to be happy or so? And I had this thought in mind, and then I created a short that I put out also, and I was looking forward on that evening to speak to my son about it, which I did yesterday and today, but he didn't really remember. So there was no. Again, today I asked him, "You don't remember? You asked me that?" And he said, "Yeah, now that you asked me again, I think I remember I asked somebody, maybe it was you." I would have loved to talk to him more about it, but he was in a different mood. So maybe sometime other I will be able to talk to him.
But I really believe that this is what it's about, to be able to love ourselves. And that is not loving unconditionally. Loving even with the parts that we don't like, maybe. That we are okay. We don't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
We can love ourselves for the persons we are.
Yeah.
And that is love. And actually, I think that kind of love is needed to be able to really love someone else.
I totally agree. Exactly.
Yeah.
I had a comment in my short that I did about this by somebody saying, no, you should not love yourself because then you are egoistic. And I thought about that I was actually expecting a comment like that. And no, I don't think it has to do with egoism. It's not about that at all. But it's a sort of common way of thinking. And it was my way of thinking before too. And there's this strange thing about all the topics we talk about. Like, I truly talk from the heart with you about these topics or the things I share on social media these days. That's something coming from inside me and from my heart. But these things I could not articulate in the past. Like 5 years ago, if I would hear myself speak like this, I would have no clue about what this guy is saying. So I think many listeners will appreciate and understand what we are saying, but there might be many who don't.
Yeah.
But they probably have clicked away already.
Yes.
But what is the language we need to speak in order to reach people, not only on social media, but also in daily lives? Which language do we need to speak in order to... I know the answer.
So what's your answer?
From the heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the language.
And then
I was thinking about which words do we need to
yeah.
use, but it doesn't matter as long as it comes
And
from
how
the
do
heart.
we come to our hearts?
I hope you will answer that question for yourself.
Yes, I will. I think that comes back to the no. When we experience some situations that we don't like, when we find that suffer in some ways, we get in contact with our emotions, our feelings, and we want to change things in our lives. That's when the heart is starting to open.
I have, like always in our conversations on topics like these, I have certain people in my mind. And I do right now. So now I have found a way to approach certain people. It's coming from the heart. And if they don't appreciate that, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's their decision. But I don't need to confront myself with negative thoughts about that.
No. I think that the contact between people, sharing, not actually helping, but sharing vulnerability, then we help each other to get closer to the hearts. So, but when you have been in real tough situations, that is what makes us close the heart. So we cannot force people to open their hearts. It has to open by itself.
Yeah.
Don't push the river.
Yeah. Exactly. Now I'm breathing out deeply again.
A new sigh.
A new sigh.
And how do you feel?
I feel wonderful. And again, I tend to say it's so simple.
Yeah. I believe that the greatest things are simple.
That's what they say in business. The best business ideas are simple.
Yeah.
Sorry for making that dramatic shift from
That's okay.
having open hearts to business.
The business is also part of life.
That's right.
It's also about contact. And you are yourself in that.
Yeah.
So you are using your personality also in your work.
Yeah. And my experience is the more you use it, the more successful you are.
Yeah.
If certain other, preconditions are met.
Yeah. And also in my work as a therapist. I mean, I was studying to psychologist when I was very young. And that was not from the heart. That was academic and, and I was really wondering what it is about because I was wishing to meet people. But I met more rats in the labyrinth, but it was like a structure, to get a structure in a way, and about society and all that. But what I really have used is my own life experiences and build my own therapy to get to learn from my life experiences. This is what I actually use. And we use that as friends as well. Whatever. As long as we don't think that everyone is the same as me, because then it becomes dangerous. But we can be open.
Yeah. I'm a big tennis fan.
Are you? I didn't know.
Yeah. And I'm switching topic again, but
you live close to a tennis.
To a tennis court, you mean?
Court, yes.
Yeah. I use it a lot. I feel so lucky. I have access to a tennis court.
Yeah.
I just need to fix my shoulder.
Okay.
When you said that not everybody should be like you, everybody is basically his or her own, right?
Yeah.
It reminded me of a short interview I saw today. As a tennis fan, I don't watch it, but I check the scores of the Australian Open.
Okay.
And the world number one is an Italian player, Yannick Sinner. And I noticed, I saw from the scores that he lost the first set. And then I didn't know the end result, but the fact that he was in the interview with John McEnroe, the former
remember that
American player, I knew he won because only the winners get interviewed. So the question was, you are an Italian, and the Italians are very outgoing and open. How did you take control of yourself in this match? So according to that question, it must have been a very difficult match where Yannick Sinner, managed to keep it under control, or himself, his emotions or whatever. And then the answer of Yannick Sinner was very funny, because he said, well, I'm different than you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because John McEnroe is famous for not being in control of his emotions. So that was a funny moment.
Yeah.
And then they continued just a little bit about speaking about that everybody is different and has his own mentality, and Yannick Sinner being pretty happy about his mentality.
Yeah.
Again, a funny moment, because what he was saying between the lines, maybe not consciously, was that he wouldn't be happy if he had John McEnroe's mentality.
Yeah.
So that was funny. So yes, of course, each person is individual, and that's the beauty of mankind, I think.
And how were you doing on the court when you played tennis?
Oh, I am a solid, average amateur player.
Yeah. But how is your temper?
How's my temper? Oh, totally under control.
Okay.
Yeah. I have never yelled or screamed or thrown a racket or anything.
No.
Totally controlled. Which I think, I wonder if I had been more successful if I had lost my temper here and there, just to let it out.
Might be.
Yeah.
Many things like that are both and.
Yes, exactly. So in tennis, and maybe also in other sports, ideally, you breathe out heavily in the moment you hit the ball. But I never do that. I hold my breath while hitting the ball. That's, I think, a physical sign of being under control, or the best to try to keep control. But no, it should be. It would be better, I think, if I lost all my breath and power in the moment I hit the ball. I would probably add more power to the stroke.
And again, we come from different angles. I just find it funny, because I've been doing a lot of therapeutic work with myself and others on breath work, to really get in contact with my emotions, feelings, and therapeutic work. So and I do very little sports. So again, see that you can learn about yourself in so many different ways. I think that's interesting. I learned from my first experience of body work, that means getting contact consciously with my feelings. I was 29, and I was a person that thought that I had no needs. Everybody else had needs, and I managed, like that. Not that I even thought of it. And then I was faced with this. I had so much anger, I had so much sadness and pain within me, and I was in a crisis. So it was natural that I had that. But I had to face that I couldn't cheat myself anymore. body doesn't lie. So that was the starting point for me to take myself really seriously. So I've been doing much of that kind of work later on. Okay.
And when I mentioned earlier that my process maybe started decades ago or years ago, it actually started with it actually started a long time ago, maybe 15 years ago, that I developed digestive problems and skin problems.
Yeah, okay.
And I did not want to accept that that is part of my life forever. So I invested time and energy for self-therapy. And only recently, like 15 years later, have I come to a conclusion and understanding of what the cause is. And it's about the microbiome. It's about the autonomous nervous system. So that is my similarity with you. But it took me so damn long to understand all of this because nobody told me. And the consulting that I went to didn't help me. Nobody helped me to come to the cause, to the root cause of the problem. I had to find out the hard way for myself. But in the end, I managed. I fixed it all. So, similar journey to what you just said, if I understand right.
You have to, and I think it's needed because again, everyone is unique. So we need to find our own path.
Yeah. Yeah. And how can others help if they come from the heart? Not if they come with their advice.
No.
You know, this is something I appreciate on one hand on social media, and on the other hand, I question it. There's so much advice. Everybody, like every post, every video is about advice. I don't know if at all times everybody needs advice.
I don't believe in that. I believe in sharing.
Exactly, sharing those vulnerabilities.
Yeah. And also sharing happy times, sharing life.
Yeah.
Simply.
Yeah.
Not because we cannot know for another.
Yeah.
We cannot.
Yeah.
And but the actual sharing is very important.
Yeah.
Now, when I say that, I don't know if it's too much to talk about right now, but I had a very exciting experience with a researcher in Boston. He was researching contact. What is actually contact? And as this was the essence of Gestalt therapy, I was very curious. So my husband Mikael and I, we were in the United States, so we made a visit to that researcher. And what he was doing, he was looking at the relationship between a mother and a child of 6 months. So that's all nonverbal, you know. So they were checking in the nonverbal communication between a mother and a baby of 6 months. And they found how do you say? They found things coming back, you know. That this is what's happening when you get in contact. There's certain, it's like a wave, like you go and reach for each other, and then there is a top peak of contact, and then you draw back. And on that point of contact, this is horizontal between a mother and this little child. So it's not like one is giving to the other.
Mm-hmm.
It's like sharing the moment.
Yeah.
And both get revitalized of that, and and then draw back, and that moment stays in both of them.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
We can look upon a relationship like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about the one or the other. It's about the meeting point.
Mm-hmm.
Moments of meeting. That was what he called it. Moments of meeting.
Moments of meeting.
And then this is a shared field, and you both get from that field.
Yeah. It reminds me of the birth of my two sons.
Mm.
When they were born, we were told we should immediately physically bond.
Yes.
That was the moment of meeting.
Yes.
The first.
So it's about energy.
Yeah.
Shared energy field.
Yeah. I had this video created a few days ago about the full moon and about what happens with the water in our bodies. How is that affected by the moon?
Yes.
And somebody commented, and I asked the question to the community, and somebody answered, well, of course it affects our bodies too. And I replied back, but how? I don't understand. How? And the answer was gravity, frequency, energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
And we are to 70% about
exactly.
water. So if the moon can affect tide and ebb,
Exactly.
how do you say in English? Ebb and
the tides.
Yeah. Then of course it must be able to do it in our bodies.
Yeah. That's my hypothesis also. And that is also contact.
Yeah.
With the moon.
Yes.
How crazy is that? How far is that away from this modern civilized urban life we live in?
I believe that in ancient times they knew this.
I believe so too.
And they built the pyramids for the equinoxes and all that.
Yeah.
They knew.
Yeah.
And we have
they must have known.
Yes. There are proof. So we have lost a lot of that energy. And so, when I say energy, some people say this is
hocus pocus.
Yes.
Is that an English word?
Yeah, and I cannot understand. For me, that we are energies.
Well, and I cannot understand how somebody cannot understand, and I cannot understand how I could have not understood previously.
Yeah. So I think we are so taught on a certain way of looking upon life since we are very small as a mankind. So what comes outside of that box, we look upon that as odd or strange or something.
I learned that the Industrial Revolution was something really good for mankind. And I conclude more and more that it was one of the worst things that could happen to humanity. And now it's the time of AI in front of us.
Yes.
So will that be just as damaging or even more? Or is spiritual awakening putting a stop to all of it?
Again, comes back to the heart. It depends on how we use or misuse.
Yes.
Everything can be used and misused.
And you know what I hear from IT and from technology? That if technology can, it will be used. Yes. Just for the sake of it being used. That's not from the heart.
No. I think that goes for many, many inventions. it's like giving dangerous tools to a little child. That's how we are, I think, as humans.
Yeah.
We are getting too dangerous tools because we don't have the capacity or wisdom to use it in a heartful way.
Yeah.
And that's why it looks like it does now. No. Hopefully we are getting wiser within the next 10, 20 years. At least some people. Or maybe enough people to change things.
Yeah. I agree. I would like to hope the same. And I feel like we are close to the end of this podcast.
Yes.
What would be a good, heartful ending?
I'm thinking that speaking like you and I are doing is like being in the eye of the storm. That things are very hard out there in the world. And many think, how can you sit and speak like this, you know? But I think it's important to keep this and be aware of the storm, but not go into. You don't have to go and be in the wind if you don't have to. Or even if you cannot do something about it, maybe you're doing better to stay in the heart and meet other hearts. That's what I believe.
Thank you.